Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Maghfirullah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. This is at night. I usually um, do this in the morning, but I've been extremely busy for the past couple of days. One of the things I want to discuss is Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ, that He did not create man and jinn except to worship Him. This worship, the ibadah, the Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan, the fasting, in order that we will learn self-discipline, self-restraint. At the same time, we have to understand that worshiping Allah means to love ourselves. And loving ourselves means to do that which is best for ourselves. And loving ourselves means also loving all of Allah's creations, regardless. And I've said this over and over again. Unfortunately, negative energy, evil forces, shaitan, iblis, bad, whatever you want to call them, perpetuate self-destruction, hate of self, and therefore hate of others. Some people use hate as a mean to rally the troops. If you hate this guy, you can unify your people. And I basically say that because years ago, I took it upon myself to do some internal studying on the differences of men, African American men primarily, different sets, whether we're neighborhood sets in different cities. Now they've become national sets in different cities. What was one of the common constants or denominators that brought them to that particular point? And there was always one. If you lived in different cities, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, big cities, they all had one, Miami, California, they all had one constant. One constant. That constant was that there was no male men in the homes. Whether this was perpetuated by a policy, and if you look at the census, you'll find that there was indeed a lot more marriages and families that were together before the 70s, before the 80s, than there were afterwards. You have to ask yourself why. What was perpetuating this? What was moving this? I'm not at liberty to kind of get too far into it, but the reality is that most different groups began because there was a vacuum, and that vacuum was a male role model that led to different things. And as this day, 2020, some of them have become generational, where the father, the grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, grandmother, mother are all of different groups and have been. So it's been passed down. The reality of this is that none of these groups were made to be negative. When they changed was when someone took it upon themselves in order to increase numbers or grow, and to point at other groups in order to unify their groups. For those who know me, you know that I'm aware of this. I don't care about the different views, be they Christian or Jew. I've even heard some of the Christians have condemned Kirk Franklin for standing with Muslims in certain areas. Listen, there's two types of people. Regardless of if you believe the particular view that they have is incorrect. Again, I've said this before, it's theoretical. It's not practical. I'm a Muslim, so definitely I believe that they're in the Tawheed. I mean, that's a non-brainer. A person may be a Christian, they believe in Trinity, and that's a non-brainer. That's their view. On the day of Yom Kippur, the day when we stand before the Most High will be dealt with. But there's two types: people who believe in the Creator and people who don't. Reality. Now, people who can't receive attention positively have a propensity, have a probability of graduating and trying to get that negatively. And once they get it negatively and they realize that they're noticed, that they feel that notice means they feel empowered, then they will continue on that particular group. And if they're looking for a male figure to guide them where there's a lack of one, whether it's conscious or unconscious, and even when it is negative, they will grasp onto it to feel empowered, to feel a part of something. But nothing should be about hurting one another. You know, I say this in reference to, in my locality, something recently happened. And, you know, it breaks my heart. But this is something that happens every day in other cities, all the time. And I only say that we can't continue hurting and killing each other behind small things that, once we really think about it superficially, is not really that serious. It's not that serious. The serious thing is to try to be productive. What is your legacy going to be? Is your legacy going to be that you was tough, that you hurt somebody, that, you know, a person with the IQ of 5, which means an imbecile, can hurt somebody and kill somebody. It is only the intelligent man, the wise man, who can assist in being productive and raise another man or woman up. It takes intelligence to bring peace. It takes intelligence to see common threads. It takes wisdom. And intelligence and wisdom is totally two different things, because you can be intelligent and be a fool. But if you're wise, you're going to be intelligent as well. I say to the people that have hurt each other, I just heard that a 15-year-old boy was shot in the head. Brothers, that's not the way. You should not have to feel empowered by doing negative things, by hurting one another. It breaks my heart. You should only feel empowered by doing that which is good, regardless if anybody gives you accolades or pats you on the back or tells you that you did good and you don't receive the attention. But the self-esteem and the self-mind and the self-presence that you know that you did good should be the empowering factor. Because destroying a person, hurting a person is not the way. Worshiping the Most High is about, you have to ask yourself when, and if you do have a harmful, hateful nature, most human beings were not born that way. And you have to look back at your life and understand, when did you become angry? When did you become mean? When did you have this angst? And peel back the layers all the way until you can find that seed and figure out, when did it come and how did it come? Did it come internally? Did it come because you lost someone that you loved and then you gave up and you didn't feel like you deserved to live, so therefore you began to do everything in your power to get somebody else to kill you, but you was too afraid to do it yourself? Or was it because of an external factor? Somebody taught you, learned hatred, and therefore it grew. But why? If you hate this group today, and then you can hate this group tomorrow, and then you can hate this, but one thing I've learned is that You cannot, nobody can fan the flames of hate in you unless it's already there. In order to make a fire, a flame, there had to be a flicker first before you could make the flicker turn into a flame and turn into a blazing fire. And the person who's able to manipulate that, the negative force, the whatever you want to call it, or the agent or the provocateur, or however you choose to make that particular statement, manipulate you to do things, to boost you up with cables, to gas you up, to whatever you want to call it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to always, love ourselves, be walidil ihsan, be good to our parents, wa yatim, and the orphan, wa miskin, and the poor, wa ibn sabil, and to the wayfarer, wa jahadu, and the neighbor who is near, the neighbor who is far. Man, don't get into this thing where you are hurting people and hurting other human beings. It's foolish. You destroy yourself. You destroy someone else. You hurt someone's family. You hurt your family. You hurt the community. All of these things, it is like a rippling effect. And you can't see it because the hatred has you blind. And I was talking about anger the other day, and this goes with it. Like I say, there's a difference in disagreement, dislike, and hate. There's a big difference. You can disagree with a person, and you can even dislike, but to hate a person to the point of wanting to harm them, that is something totally un-Islamic. And I say this, in reference to, not just locally, but I was talking to a brother, and we was talking, and he mentioned, he said, well, it says that the shaitan is locked up during Ramadan. I said, but yeah, I said, that's one particular view that Allah has locked up the shaitan. That's true. Fact. Hadith. Now, the interpretation of that hadith is a different thing. Doesn't mean that Allah has done it and he has no influence, or does it mean that we lock him up by being righteous? Because what about what's happening in Ukraine? What's happening in Palestine, in Jerusalem right now? And the Palestinians, it's not Islam, not just an Islamic situation. That's a nationalistic situation. If we really study history, the Palestinians, we say Palestinians in English, but in Arabic and Hebrew, they're still called Philistines. Instead, they're spelled with an F instead of a PH. Philistines have been fighting the Yahuda since the time of Dawood. The Canaan and the land of Canaan since Dawood. Goliath, Juluth, he was a Philistine. He was a Palestinian, according to the biblical terminology. So, and there was not no Islam at that time. That we know, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had not even come. And so they was fighting back then. So this fight and the number and millions of people that have been killed on both sides in this war is so astronomical that it's not even just Islamic. It's, and the people who even was the right-hand man of Yasser Arafat, some of them was Christians. They were Nasara. This is a fact. Not making it any less of an atrocity on either side. It's like one got a stick and one got a knife and one got a M16. It's not a fair fight. But the reality is what it is. I make dua that this could change. As I make dua that this can change, I also make dua that nationally, in the subcultures of African Americans and Latinos, and that we can come to some sort of understanding, that we don't get caught up into this craziness. When you study history during the period of slavery, you'll find that many of the Mexicans helped African American slaves to get to Mexico, and they protected them. But still, today, in our ignorance, the youth of the Mexicans, the youth of the African Americans, they still have beef, not understanding the commonality that they had for hundreds of years before, how these same people sheltered them. You have to study others. You have to study beyond ethnicities and the perpetuation of hate that groups have. I mean, yes, there's people who've done some stupid stuff to each other, and you remember that and you hold on to that, but you don't remember and hold on to the good, the positive things that you've done between yourselves. Hatred, excessive hatred, is from the shaitan. To hurt another human being is from the shaitan. To want to hurt anybody, to want to hurt yourself is from the shaitan. And not only from the shaitan, it's ignorant. Why do you not love yourself? That you would want to hurt yourself. Or that you would want somebody to hurt you, or that you would put yourself in that position to be hurt, or that you would try to hurt someone else. Do you hate yourself that much? Do you hate humanity that much? The reality, there's only one you. It says that the Creator created us in His image. And the greatest image is because He's unique. He's Ahad. And the image is that He created each one of us unique. Ahad. Only one type of fingerprint. Only one cornea of an eye. Only one you. We are all unique. And this is in His image. Do the best. Do the best. Just don't do good. Do the best. And do not feel empowered by doing negative behaviors. The Prophet said, Talibul ilm faridul ilm muslimati. غير أهله كالمقلدين كنازير مقلدين ذهب والهلول. He says that it is obligatory on every Muslim man and woman to seek knowledge. But don't but do not give this but do not give this to people that are not worthy of it. Or that they will be like the pigs who have necklaces of gold and diamonds around their neck. They will not be worthy of this gem, this diamond. A person who doesn't know what a diamond is thinks it's just another rock. A person who doesn't know the value of gold sees gold as just being a shiny object. You have to understand your worth. You have to understand your worth. And you have to understand the worth of the next human being who is unique like you. I mean, who am I to talk? I mean, I get into disagreements daily, sometimes with my spouse. And love her to death. I understand that both of us are strong, willed. And sometimes both people being extremely intelligent have a propensity, has a tendency not to allow you to see their view as you're so adamant that your view is correct. And being right all the time doesn't always do the best. Somebody has to be wrong. And even if both are right, because there's always a myriad of things, somebody has to be the beggar person and say, okay, you win. I was wrong, for the sake of peace. Peace is greater than war. Love is greater than hate, even though it makes more noise. Look at the giant sequoia trees in California. Haven't made a sound, but look how magnificent and big they are. I talked about hate yesterday. And I told you the Prophet Muhammad said that the best of people are those who it takes them a long time to get mad. But they get over it quick. And oftentimes there's techniques, breathing, thinking a problem, situation through, not taking things on face value to be true. Simply because somebody said it was, a big homie or the imam or the sheikh or the general or whomever. Think about it. Sometimes it's like it's like icing on a cake. It tastes good. It looks good until you bite into it, and then you find out it's only half baked. The cake is not even done. The pie is not even done. It's part of it is still raw. Do not let hate consume you, because hate eats up faith and good in a person like fire eats up wood till there's no more you. There's only the flame, and then even that goes after it has destroyed you. With that being said, how do you want your legacy to be? How do you define yourself? As a person who produces life, or a person who destroys life? Do you want to help humanity before you go? Or do you want to destroy humanity? Or be a tool of destruction? Allah created us to produce, to understand that everything that fights against the production of the betterment of humanity as individuals and collective ethnicities and to humanity as a whole is diametrically opposed to what, if it's not for that and it's about destruction, then it's diametrically opposed to that which the Creator wants for us. As a whole. Of course, we have to clean up our house first before we can worry about anybody else's. But the agenda is not to stop at your house. The agenda is to make that neighborhood better. They said that there are no neighborhoods because there are only hoods, because there are no more neighbors. And there are no more neighbors because nobody cares. And there's a myriad of reasons why people don't care. Fear, self-absorption, indifference, but nobody cares. So there are no more neighborhoods. There's just hoods. May Allah protect us from that. May we get back to being human beings. May we get back to having neighborhoods. And all of our psychological and emotional dysfunctions, may we correct those to the point where we feel comfortable dealing with other human beings and less comfortable dealing with even this camera I'm talking to you with. Make dua for me, make dua for my family. Ask the Most High to protect us from the evil of our own selves and the evil of other people and the evil of institutions. Please, I beg of you, love yourself enough to never ever want to hurt another human being. Love yourself enough never to ever want to hurt yourself. And be disciplined in your behavior towards yourself that you don't. If you can, remember, subscribe to this channel. My name is Al-Muhaimin, and I thank you for listening to me this night. I say this with my heart on my sleeve. It tears me up for people, human beings, and my people, African Americans, but all people, the ones in Ukraine, to perpetually, for no just reason other than a thought of power, to want to hurt another human being. I understand the dynamics to some extent, but not all of it, of course. But again, have a nice night. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the page and make dua. Rabbana taqabbal dua ilayk. And we make dua to Allah. We ask Him to help us to be better human beings and to be better people. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.